150,000 dead, 8.8 million displaced, over 3 million refugees. And these are just part of the staggering statistics of a war that the world barely talks about. But the recent images of a massacre in El Fasher have finally brought Sudan's tragedy back into the headlines, at least for a moment. Everything unfolded before the world's eyes over the past 18 months. El Fasher, a city in Sudan's Darfur region, had long been under siege by the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, and trapped in a deliberate famine. Last week, the city fell to this militia, and what followed was a full-scale atrocity. Over 2,000 civilians were killed in El Fasher alone. More than 400 innocent people, many of them women and children, were slaughtered inside a single maternity hospital. The speed and brutality of the massacre were such that war observers compared it to the first 24 hours of the Rwandan genocide. But what's really happening in El Fasher? Who are the warring parties? Who exactly are the Rapid Support Forces, and who backs them? And why does the name of a small, distant country, the United Arab Emirates, appear so often in Sudan's news? The main battle in Sudan today is between the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, two groups that were once allies. The story of the RSF goes back to 2010, when a name began to surface: Mohammed Hamdan better known as Hemedti. He was a powerful figure from the Rizagat tribe in Darfur, a region long scarred by bloodshed and humanitarian crises. With the direct backing of then-President Omar al-Bashir, Hemedti gathered tribal fighters into a militia that would later become the Rapid Support Forces. At first, the RSF was nothing more than a chaotic tribal militia, brutal, disorganized, and largely composed of the infamous Janjaweed fighters responsible for earlier atrocities in Darfur. But with money and weapons from al-Bashir's government, the group gradually grew into a structured paramilitary arm of the regime. And like many political alliances in Sudan, this one didn't last long. From coup to civil war, after 30 years in power, Omar al-Bashir was ousted in April 2019 amid massive protests. It was the army, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, with crucial help from Hemedti and the RSF, that removed him and placed him under arrest. Soon after, a transitional military council took power, with Burhan and Hemedti as its two dominant figures. Eventually, authority was handed over to a civilian-led transitional government headed by Abdallah Hamdok. But in October 2021, the same two generals who once promised democracy staged another coup, overthrowing the civilian government and seizing total control again. Distrust soon grew between them. By 2023, disagreements over merging the RSF into the regular army ignited a fierce conflict. Hemedti turned his guns on Burhan, and Sudan plunged into a devastating full-scale civil war, a pattern of terror. For over 2 years, the RSF has followed a chillingly systematic and predictable pattern: besieged the target city, cutting off food, medicine, electricity, and internet; weakened the population through starvation and isolation; launch assaults marked by arson, sexual violence, massacres, and destruction of vital infrastructure. So far, around 150,000 people have been massacred, and millions more have fled to neighboring countries. But the level of violence seen in Darfur in recent days has alarmed observers, who warn that history could be repeating itself, echoing the early 2000s genocide, when Janjaweed militias killed 200,000 people. So where does the RSF get its weapons and funding? The answer, it seems, is painfully clear, and all fingers point toward one nation: the the United Arab Emirates. The RSF may claim ethnic or political goals, but in reality, it functions like a mercenary army. Its fighters once joined UAE and Saudi-led forces in Yemen against the Houthi movement. Later, as African migration to Europe surged, the European Union itself funded, trained, and equipped these same RSF units to curb migration routes, a move that indirectly strengthened them. Today, that same trained and heavily armed group enjoys more Emirati support than ever before, effectively conducting ethnic cleansing in Sudan. The UAE connection. Reports show that the UAE operates secret air and land routes to deliver military supplies directly to the RSF. According to the Wall Street Journal, the UAE uses Libya as a logistical base, with flights carrying weapons, including Chinese-made Su-95 drones, heavy machine guns, artillery, and large quantities of ammunition, regularly heading toward Sudan. These shipments have revived RSF operations after temporary setbacks, allowing them to resume large-scale assaults. Private security firms based in the UAE, such as GSISG and A4SI, also play a shadowy role. Officially labeled as security service providers, they are in fact recruiting mercenaries from around the world to fight in Sudan. The British outlet Middle East has also uncovered another covert route. Cargo flights from Bosaso Airport in Somalia's Puntland region, carrying Colombian mercenaries and weapons directly into Sudan. All of this, the flights, the companies, the weapons, serve a single purpose: to keep a grinding proxy war alive, one that benefits Abu Dhabi's influence while deepening one of Africa's worst humanitarian disasters. And behind all this support lies one word: gold. The partnership between the UAE and the RSF sits at the heart of Sudan's gold smuggling network. In exchange for sending gold to Dubai, Hemedi and his allies receive money, weapons, and political cover, while Emirati companies gain access to some of Africa's richest gold reserves. But Sudan is not the only stage for the UAE's ambitions. In Libya, since 2014, Abu Dhabi has been one of the main backers of General Khalifa Haftar and his so-called Libyan National Army, supplying drones, ammunition, and even unmarked fighter jets, all aimed at curbing Islamist influence and expanding control over ports and energy routes in North Africa. In Yemen, after the rise of the Houthi movement, the UAE joined the Saudi-led coalition and trained southern separatist forces to seize control of strategic ports and islands like Aden, Socotra, and Mocha. In May 2018, Emirati forces even landed on Socotra Island, took over the airport and port, and raised their own flag, sparking outrage, even from Saudi Arabia. Today, through the Southern Transitional Council, the UAE effectively controls this strategic island at the mouth of the Gulf of Aden, one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. In Somalia and Somaliland, the UAE has built a military base in Berbera, invested in Bosaso port, and backed separatist factions that weaken the central government in Mogadishu, all to secure its influence over Red Sea trade routes and counter Qatar and Turkey in the Horn of Africa. In Ethiopia, the UAE supplied Chinese-made drones to help Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed during the Tigray War, contributing to yet another human tragedy. And the list goes on: Chad, Mali, Egypt, and beyond. The bigger picture: in a world witnessing one collapse after another, Sudan is just one theater in a larger game. From Darfur to Sana'a, from Benghazi to Berbera, a familiar pattern repeats itself. A pattern of silent interventions, heavy investments, and control over energy routes and regional influence. Now that, after 2 years, the world is finally paying attention to the catastrophic plight of Sudan's people, the question is, will global pressure be enough to stop the UAE's support for this war? Or are we doomed to witness even greater tragedies ahead?